Do you want to design your own custom miniature? Hero Forge offers fully customizable tabletop miniatures with dozens of fantasy species and thousands of parts to choose from, all within your browser. Working with materials like color plastic, acrylic standee, and bronze, and offering downloadable model files for users to 3D print their unique designs at home, Hero Forge is constantly expanding its catalog of customization options, adding new parts every week and major features like new species and custom posing on a regular basis. And as a listener of the Horror Queers podcast, you get a special deal. Use code HQ to get 5% off on all orders of physical miniatures. Visit HeroForge.com to start designing your custom miniature and dice today, and check back often. New content is added every week. And remember, use code HQ to get 5% off on all orders of physical miniatures. Not combinable with other sales or promotions. Nobody's Performance Review is safe in Corporate Retreat, now available on digital. Described as a gory mix of The Menu and Saw, Corporate Retreat centers around a group of young executives whose luxury team-building trip descends into a bloody fight for survival. Climbing the corporate ladder is not for the weak. Watch Corporate Retreat at home on digital. Attendance is mandatory.
I hate to say it, but his parents have been feeling unwell as of late, and I'm staying with them to help take care of Alex.
Oh, so it's serious.
Oh, no, it's not serious. Nothing terminal. It's just a touch of consumption.
And welcome back to Horror Queers. We're talking, oh dear, we become a race of peeping toms. We're talking, I think she's doing a woman's hardest job, juggling wolves. And we're talking, oh, I love funny exiting lines. And I'm Joe.
And I'm Trace, and we're talking because he had something buried in that garden that the dog scented. Like an old ham bone? I don't know what pet names Thorwald had for his wife. And I'm Trace.
Oh, gosh.
Everyone, we are discussing Alfred Hitchcock's Rear Window. A first-time watch for me, as I'm embarrassed to admit.
Oh, wow. I don't think I knew that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I have so many Hitchcock blind spots, Joe. Like, if it's not Psycho or The Birds, I've seen very little Hitchcock.
Okay, yes, I think I remember you mentioning this on previous Hitchcock episodes.
Psycho and the Birds.
Yes, and Rebecca, and
yeah.
many other ones. Rope, and we've covered more Hitchcock than you remember. I think.
I think it's because I'm thinking of like the big ones, like Rear Window, like North by Northwest. I'm like, I haven't seen those big ones,
Right. I'll confess I'm still missing a couple of those as well. I think I've seen the ones that seem most likely candidates for this particular show.
Yeah, very, very much so. Also totally forgot about Rope. So yes, thank you for reminding me about that. But which, funnily enough, because it also stars Jimmy Stewart.
Although I would argue this is a much better performance for him.
Well, I mean, because he's the lead of the movie. He's not the lead of Rope. But was this a first-time watch for you, Joe, or had you seen this before?
Oh, no, I've seen this a couple of times for sure. It's not my favorite Hitchcock. I think the closest comparison is Rope, because this feels somewhat like a bit of an exercise. Like, hey, how do I shoot an entire movie through a window this time instead of, in long continuous takes? But I like it. I don't love it the same way that other folks do.
I kind of loved this. Not even for the main plot, which is, yes, Jimmy Stewart witnesses his neighbor across the courtyard, murdering. Well, sorry, he doesn't witness the murder, but he sees a lot of things that lead him to suspect the guy has committed murder. And
yeah, his reasoning is very flimsy to me. Like, some of his logic jumps, I'm just like, I don't know. People leave their wedding rings behind all the time, but okay, go off.
I think that might be a generational or just a time period thing, because there are definitely some gendered reasons for their suspicions that don't really hold water in 2026, but maybe they did in 1954.
Absolutely. I mean, we are very far removed from this film.
Very much so. But I will say, what I actually did love about this movie was how much all of the side characters were developed through very minimal dialogue, just from us watching them.
Yes. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, the fact that we don't even have proper character names for many of these people, it's just whatever Jeff has decided to call them as he spies on folks.
Yeah, so y'all, when we're referring to Miss Torso, that's not us being sexist. That's just Jimmy Stewart's dialogue.
Oh my God. If you don't know, you need to go and watch the movie.
Okay, well, let's dive into this because, yeah, I mean, again, like this was one of those movies where I didn't know much about the production, so I did kind of a deep dive, and I'm pulling most of this from the hour-long featurette Rear Window Ethics, Remembering and Restoring a Hitchcock Classic, as well as the 15-minute-long interview, A Conversation with Screenwriter John Michael Hayes, both of which are included on Universal's 2014 Blu-ray release and their eventual 4K release of the film.
Okay.
So, okay, Rear Window, based on a short story called It Had to Be Murder, which was published in 1942 and written by a man named Cornell Woolridge while writing under the pseudonym William Irish.
Okay.
This guy was very popular. So, like, over 30 of his short stories and novels were made into movies between 1936 and 1980. Like,
that's a lot.
Yeah, and also, I guess it shows, like, how often we were adapting short stories for the film at the time. I mean, like not to say we don't do that anymore, but I feel like you don't hear about it as much anymore.
No, I mean, I was going to do my Tabitha thing because it feels like Stephen King gets a lot of mileage out of that area. But yeah, I mean, I sometimes wonder how much people are aware that things are adaptations as well. But yeah, I mean, I think for a lot of folks, it feels like short stories are not the way to go because there just isn't enough content there. You have to still do a lot of original heavy lifting. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of juicy premises to be taken from.
Well, but that's the thing, right? Like, much how when we talk about short films being adapted for feature, where we're like, oh, it feels like a short film that's been stretched to feature length. Like, it doesn't have a lot of material here that justifies the runtime. And I mean, this movie is an hour and 55 minutes long. So I was a little concerned where I was like, oh my God, like we're stretching a short story that's, less than 50 pages long into a nearly 2-hour film. But it is like all of those side characters, that's the addition to this movie. Well, that and Grace Kelly's character.
Oh, right. Okay.
But anyway, so Hitchcock wanted to adapt It Had to Be Murder, and Paramount Pictures, I guess he had to deal with them, but they said, if you can deliver a good screenplay, we will commit to the project. Which, admittedly, I was kind of like, really? You're not just going to say immediately yes to Alfred Hitchcock? But whatever.
One would think.
Yeah. Hitchcock would eventually hire writer John Michael Hayes to write the screenplay, and Hayes' background was writing comedies and dramas for radio. Remember back when we told stories on the radio?
I mean, not personally, but yes.
Well, nevertheless, Hitchcock got his eyes on him, and he invited him out to dinner, which is apparently what he did often with his, like new stars, screenwriters, whatever, what have you.
I mean, Hitch liked to eat.
Yeah, very much so. So it's a Friday night dinner, and basically Hitchcock asked him, like, oh, hey, are you familiar with any of my films? And Hayes said he was, and Hitchcock asked him to name one that he really liked. And this is kind of a fun little anecdote. So when Hayes was in the U.S. Army Special Services Division during World War II, one of his jobs was handling theater projects for the soldiers. So, like, I guess between, like, what do we call it when they're sent out to go do something?
Like a go-see?
I don't know. When they're commanded to go out to battle or something. I don't know. But like, they had, like, downtime to go watch a movie in their local theater, which is probably like a gymnasium or something. But
okay,
they needed a projectionist. So Hayes temporarily acted as one. And the only film they had when he was there was Hitchcock's 1943 film, Shadow of a Doubt. So
okay,
he showed and watched that movie 3 times a day for 30 days.
Oh, boy.
So, like, the whole dinner with Hitchcock was taken up with conversations of Shadow of a Doubt, where Hayes told Hitchcock not only how much he loved the film, not even realizing that Hitchcock had long considered Shadow of a Doubt his best film, but also because he knew it inside and out, possibly more than even Hitchcock himself. So he also told him about all the mistakes he thought he had made in the film.
Oh, boy. Okay. Well, that's one way to endear yourself to someone.
Well, and so Hayes said, he's like, oh, the conversation, like, almost got out of hand to the point where he thought he went home thinking that he had blown it. And Hitchcock's agents called Hayes on Monday morning to offer him the job. And he was like, oh, my God, like, I thought we were done.
I'm going to shoot my mouth off every time next time.
Exactly, right? Just challenge the boss. That always works out all the time.
Sure, always.
Now, their collaboration on Rear Window would be so successful that Hayes would go on to write 3 more films for Hitchcock, which would be 1955's To Catch a Thief, 1955's The Trouble with Harry, and 1956's The Man Who Knew Too Much. But I also want to point out, and this is not super relevant, but I just like it, he also wrote the 1961 adaptation of Lillian Hellman's seminal 1934 stage play, The Children's Hour. And I've mentioned this movie/play once or twice on the podcast before, Joe, but this is a movie that it's not really horror, but I would love to cover it because it's where Audrey Hepburn and Shirley MacLaine play teachers at a girls' school, and a bitch child accuses them of being lesbians.
Right. You know what? I think I have a title that would match this, so maybe we can do a little micro queers on it down the line.
Yeah. This is a play that we did when I was in high school, and it's just talking about lesbianism in 1961, and it's Audrey Hepburn and Shirley MacLaine. Oh my God.
Wow. Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so Hayes wrote a 35-page treatment for Rear Window, which Hitchcock liked, and Paramount, again, despite having said they'd only commit with a good screenplay, actually committed to just the treatment because they liked it so much.
Right.
Hitchcock wanted Jimmy Stewart for the lead role, believing that he represented what Hitchcock believed was the quote-unquote ordinary man, so I guess basically he was like, okay, well, any man who goes to see a film that Jimmy Stewart was in could immediately identify with him. And it didn't hurt that he was easy to like and was also easy to work with. So Jimmy Stewart also signed on after reading just the treatment.
Yeah. Every time I see a Jimmy Stewart film, I think of him as that generation's Tom Hanks.
Oh, you know what? I could definitely see that. I mean, and he just got that very unique way of speaking, right?
Murray. That was terrible, but... He's got a bit of a drawl.
Yeah, a little bit. But Hayes went and wrote the first draft of the screenplay, and Hitchcock made notes, which were mostly cuts, not changes. And Hayes went and wrote a second draft, which they then broke into more than 600 shots, because, many great directors, Hitchcock was a planner.
I mean, there's a lot of setup in this movie.
Well, and I think, too, when he knows, okay, well, everything is coming from this apartment, from the POV of this window, I mean, I guess that cuts out a lot of extraneous stuff. So you're like, okay, cool, let's just plan all the shots from this window. There you go.
I think it's that. And you also have to keep this visually interesting. So much like Rope, you have certain technical restrictions or things that are going to set the parameters, but then you're still looking to make a piece of entertainment. Like, this can't just be static cameras out the fucking window. That would be so boring.
Oh, right. And this camera is moving a lot. And I mean, while there aren't as many long takes as we get in Rope, because those are, 10 to 13 minute takes, there are still plenty of long takes in this movie.
Yeah, lots of roaming camera work, and it's very voyeuristic. Because, of course, I mean, that's what the whole fucking film is about. But it feels like we, as the audience, are very much in Jeff's POV, looking out into this courtyard, spying on the neighbors.
It's amazing how much of the movie is a shot reverse shot between what Stewart's character is looking at and then just cutting back to, his reaction. Because I'm like, I bet they weren't filming all that at the same time, right? No. He's just like, Jimmy Stewart, look like you just saw this.
Look like you're leering at that lady who's doing her ballet routine. And then also being suspicious of that guy.
And I think that's why I liked it so much. It's a minimalist movie to an extent. And so I guess I was surprised and really pleased with how much depth I found in this movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's showy but controlled and expertly crafted.
Yeah. Now, the screenplay of Rear Window is very different from the book. The setting was changed from a neighborhood street where Stewart's character could see in the windows of the houses to the courtyard of the apartment building he was. Yeah, well, that's what I thought too. Which I have not seen Disturbia since high school. So when it came out 20 years ago.
Right.
I remember thinking it was fine, but I hadn't seen Rear Window, so I couldn't offer any actual comparisons.
Right. Oh, that is so fascinating. Yeah, peek behind the curtains, folks. We actually originally considered doing Disturbia as our audio commentary for the month, and then we ended up settling on, obviously, Howling 2, because we thought that was a bit more fun and novel. But I haven't revisited Disturbia in a very, very long time. I remember it's a DJ Caruso film, so I think it'll also be a little bit overly showy in terms of the technical prowess, but Yeah, folks, let us know.
Yeah.
Have you seen Disturbia recently? Does it hold up? I mean, Shia LaBeouf notwithstanding.
I mean, basically, yeah, it's a remake of Rear Window that got caught in a lawsuit because they did not
disclose the facts.
Well, I mean, they played dumb, I think. They're like, no, it's not, because it's a completely different story outside of the fact that this kid witnesses a murder from his window.
Right, yeah.
I mean, honestly, it plays more like a, like a 10 Things I Hate About You, right? Where we're readapting like classic literature for like the modern era.
Right, yes.
Yeah. But the most important element missing in the short story is the romance, which obviously plays a major role in the film. And in the short story, it was just the Raymond Burr character murdering his wife while Jimmy Stewart's character watched. There was no Grace Kelly's Lisa, there was no Thelma Ritter's Stella, and there was no ensemble of other people he was spying on. So, I mean, right then and there, you're like, okay, cool, yeah, that's enough to fill a movie.
Right, yeah.
Grace Kelly was on Hitchcock's mind after he worked with her on Dial M for Murder, which came out about 3 months before Rear Window. And I should also point out, Joe, embarrassingly, this is my first Grace Kelly film.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I knew her name. I've heard of Grace Kelly so many times before, so I was actually shocked to discover she only acted in 11 films before marrying Prince Rainier III of Monaco in 1956.
I was going to say, I mean, the fact that she basically became a princess meant that she kind of retired from making movies.
Yeah. So I mean, it's one of those things of like, oh, it's like only quote unquote 11 films, but I guess maybe it was a lot of like the late 40s and 50s and early 50s where
she packed it in.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Folks, before we move on, I'm also going to acknowledge, yes, there is obviously a better, well, in title remake. Just because we were talking about Disturbia, I don't want people to think that we overlook the fact that there is a 1998 TV remake starring Christopher Reeves of Rear Window.
I did have that in my production save for the end, but I didn't think we'd be talking about Disturbia so soon, but it's okay.
Sorry. It was when you said the street, because I was like, oh, right, we switched the setting to the suburbs for Disturbia.
Very much so, which again is more in line with the original story. So I guess, they didn't even credit the original story or Hitchcock's Rear Window as...
Oh, boy.
Yeah. But
lawsuits, yeah.
Anyway, but okay, so Hayes told Hitchcock that he thought Grace Kelly was, and I quote, a bit stiff in Dial M for Murder, and I think Hitchcock kind of agreed, so he instructed Hayes to write Lisa with a spark of life in the hope that it would open up Kelly a bit, which is exactly what happened. I mean, I love Grace Kelly's character in this movie, even though I wish she was more I wish she was the lead, to be honest, but
okay.
That's
yeah,
just the
I
gay in
mean,
me.
she's a very captivating character, and obviously we're going to have a lot of conversations about the depiction of marriage and also the tension between Jeff and Lisa. But no, I mean, she's fucking great in this. And also the costumes. Her wardrobe is so fucking good in this movie.
I know. Costumes done by Hitchcock regular Edith Head. That is an 8-time Academy Award winner and 35-time nominee.
I mean, well deserved.
Very much. But actually, speaking of, though, because the film takes place entirely within Stewart's apartment, Hitchcock felt that the costumes, their color, and style had to help the scene, which seems like a pretty generic statement, because it's like, yeah, obviously,
that is regardless. But yeah, especially in this case, you think, okay, we only have this one setting, so any kind of pops of color or visual excitement have to come from outside of the setting.
Yeah, it's like costumes are important in every movie, but they were especially important in this movie.
There we go.
Yeah. But Edith Head was under contract at Paramount, and they would loan her out to other studios because she was so sought after. But she had already worked with Hitchcock and would continue to do so, and she and Hitchcock were actually working on costumes for Rear Window before they even cast the film. So, that was viewed more important to Hitchcock even than what the cast itself.
That's wild.
So filming took place from late November of 1953 to mid-January of 1954, and the entire shoot took place on a stage at Paramount Studios. And
of course,
art director Mac Johnson was actually concerned about the courtyard set because, no studios had stages that were high enough to do it. But these stages all had a basement underneath the floor. And so what they decided to do was cut the floor out of the stage at Paramount to make it tall enough. So the ground level of the set that we see with like the flower beds where the dog is digging, that's the basement. Floor. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That is, God. That is astronomical production design. That's the kind of thing that just feels Herculean.
Well, and again, looking at this, I'm like, okay, this is clearly a set. Like, it almost... this plot really lends itself perfectly to a stage play, but even though it's not based on a stage play, again, it breaks out of the constraints of, I think, what like a lot of stage plays we see adapted to film have, where it doesn't feel too stagey. And a lot of that is because of this dynamic camera work we have going on.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a constructedness to the visual where it's never convincingly outside, even though I would argue the moments where we get to see down the alley to the diner and stuff, like it truly does feel like there is a whole city on the margins of what we're seeing. But like the courtyard itself, it looks like it's a studio lot. But you're right. I think the camera is so active and it's never boring, even if it does sometimes feel a little stagey.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the times it looks the most stagey is when we're really focusing on the skyline, because the set was lit for 4 time periods of the day: morning, afternoon, twilight, and night. And it just looks like a backdrop in those moments. But the set took 6 weeks to build. So there you go. But I mean, again, I'm just like, well, Hitchcock already had all the camera shots planned out and everything. So like, basically every direction for the crew was in the screenplay. So Hitchcock would always talk to the cameraman first before like he actually called action. But the actors also wore earpieces so Hitchcock could talk to them, but they couldn't talk back to him.
Well, sure.
And then they actually shot live sound from Stewart's point of view in his apartment to capture the distance between the window Stewart was sitting at and whatever we were hearing across the way, which is why, like, when I was watching this, so I watched this twice with subtitles both times, and there are times where the subtitles were actually giving me dialogue that wasn't fully audible from across the way.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's a thing where I'm like, oh, like, if you hear what they're saying, it's great. But if you're missing it, it's not really important because we're supposed to be hearing just what Jimmy Stewart can be hearing. And again, it adds like to the verisimilitude of the film where I was like, I just felt so immersed in this movie.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. This was mildly triggering because it brought me back to pandemic times where I did spend a lot of time on my balcony. Like I'm
looking at people.
I'm not in a well, yes, I've talked a couple of times about my neighbor crush who I nicknamed Nathan and who I ended up seeing his penis because he didn't draw the blinds. Yeah. But like I live in a high-rise condo in downtown, so I have buildings on 2 of the 3 sides of me, and I can see into people's apartments. There is a communal like 9th floor patio where people will go and sunbathe and barbecue and that kind of stuff. So everything in this movie feels very similar to my literal lived experience. And it's really interesting because that phenomenon with the sound that you're describing, like sometimes I can hear people's conversations crystal clear. And then other times I'm catching bits and pieces of it, depending on whether they're facing me, facing the courtyard, whether, you know, the wind is catching and that kind of stuff. So all of this is just so expertly done. Like it feels like real life.
Yeah. And that is really what drew me into this movie so much. Just on a technical level, which again, unsurprising for a Hitchcock film that it's technically proficient, but still. Yeah. But Joe, you may or may not notice that there's not really a score in this movie.
Wow. We have somebody who is composing music, which is often providing a gentle soundtrack. But yeah, the rest of it is the sounds of the city.
Oh my God. Did you catch the guy who's playing the musician in the movie?
I mean, I got his name, but I didn't look him up.
Ross Bagdasarian, the creator and voice of Alvin and the Chipmunks.
Yeah, I wouldn't have known that.
Oh my God. So yeah, Bagdasarian is just very unique. Now, I grew up watching a lot of the Chipmunks, but anyway.
Okay.
Not the live action movies, the cartoons.
Right.
But the only score or music that plays is almost exclusively when, the Bagdasarian character is playing music across the way, or someone's listening to a record, or, playing the piano. But not having a score was a rather daring choice at the time, but Hitchcock, again, thought it would add a sort of verisimilitude to the film. But even so, this was the last of 4 films that composer Franz Waxman composed for Hitchcock. The other 3 being, this is interesting, so it's not even like recent films. It's Rebecca, Suspicion, and something called The Paradigm Case. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
By the time they were done shooting, they pretty much already had the entire movie cut. And this is great. The rumor was that there were so few trims on the final cut because Hitchcock had like pre-planned
He's already done it. Yeah.
That they put all the trims onto one film reel. Like that's how few trims there were from what they had actually shot.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it is reminiscent of Rope and some other films that we have discussed where, like you've basically planned it out so well that there's virtually no edit.
Yeah, exactly. And so, I mean, I think a film reel would have been at most 10 to 13 minutes long. So they had fewer than that of things they had to get out of this movie.
Good on them.
Yep. So Rear Window was released on September 1st, 1954, after a benefit world premiere was held on August 4th with United Nations officials and prominent members of the social and entertainment worlds. So, I don't know, people that Grace Kelly's character would be hanging out with in this movie?
I guess so. The elite.
Yeah, basically. That was held at the Rivoli Theater in New York City. In a January 1955 issue of Variety, they reported that Rear Window earned $5.3 million in North American box office rentals up until that point. And I only bring that up because, like, if you look at the Wikipedia box office for this movie, it says it's made $37 million. And if you go to Box Office Mojo, it says the exact same thing. And so I was like, okay, were these re-releases? Like, what's going on here? And
inflation.
I don't... So even... Box Office Mojo, it says no, it was like 26 million in its original domestic run, but I saw like a print of the Variety, and maybe it was because it was mid-January, so maybe it continued playing through 55 and somehow earned like $20 million more throughout the year. But
that is an astronomical discrepancy.
Well, especially again, $20 million for 1954. That's like multiply that times 5 for what that is today.
That's $5 billion in today's money.
Exactly. But still, this is not one of the films where it didn't get great reviews at the time, and now it's considered a classic. It did get very good reviews at the time, and today is often considered one of Hitchcock's best films. So we're looking at a 99% on Rotten Tomatoes. Letterboxd users have given this a 4.4 out of 5, and it was nominated for 4 Academy Awards, losing all of them, but it was nominated for Best Director, Best Adapted Screenplay, Best Color Cinematography, and Best Sound Recording.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I'm just pulling this straight from the Wikipedia Legacy section because why not?
Why not?
In 1997, Rear Window was selected for preservation in the United States National Film Registry by the Library of Congress as being culturally, historically, or aesthetically significant. That's a common phrase, yeah. In 1998, Time Out magazine conducted a poll, and Rear Window was voted the 21st greatest film of all time.
Wow.
In 2006, the Writers Guild of America West ranked its screenplay 83rd in their list of 101 greatest screenplays.
Okay.
In the British Film Institute's 2012 Sight and Sound polls of the greatest films ever made, Rear Window was ranked 53rd among critics and 48th among directors. In 2017, Empire Magazine's Readers poll ranked Rear Window at number 72 on its list of the 100 greatest movies. In 2022, Time Out Magazine ranked the film at number 26 on their list of the 100 best thriller films of all time. And finally, the American Film Institute included Rear Window as number 42 in AFI's 100 Years, 100 Movies, and number 14 in AFI's 100 Years, 100 Thrills.
Not gonna lie, that was a lot of numbers.
There's a lot of numbers, I know. And then so the legacy, we have the made-for-TV remake in 1998, starring Christopher Reeve, Daryl Hannah, and Robert Forster. This was Reeve's first substantial role since his tetraplegia-inducing injury in 1995. And
yeah, I remember it was a big deal because people were legitimately unsure if he would ever kind of come out publicly again. Like, would he just kind of say, okay, I'm going to adjust my living style and that's it for me? So people were very excited to see him actually even acting again.
Yeah, because he wasn't going to be acting at all. And the movie did not get good reviews, but Reeve was nominated for a Golden Globe and he won a Screen Actors Guild Award.
Nice.
Again, it probably it's a made-for-TV movie. Like, I guess I get why a studio wouldn't have wanted to put money into this, but I don't know. It seems like, hey, the return of Christopher Reeve to acting in a remake of a Hitchcock film, that seems marketable to me.
I think so, but it does also feel like what we do with made-for-television movies. No one's going to dare to touch a Hitchcock classic, unless you're Gus Van Sant. And then you kind of say, okay, well, can we do this on the cheap because we don't... Yeah, did they have full confidence in it? I don't know.
Well, and so, again, this is 1998, so this literally is the year that Gus Van Sant's Psycho comes out. But actually, also, 1998 is also the release of A Perfect Murder, which is the remake of Dial M for Murder.
Good movie. I like that one.
1998, we had 2 theatrically released Alfred Hitchcock remakes, and then the TV one with Christopher Reeve.
Right. Big year. Big year for Hitch.
Yeah. But, Joe, What happens in... Do you want to design your own custom miniature? Hero Forge offers fully customizable tabletop miniatures with dozens of fantasy species and thousands of parts to choose from, all within your browser. Working with materials like color plastic, acrylic standee, and bronze, and offering downloadable model files for users to 3D print their unique designs at home, Hero Forge is constantly expanding its catalog of customization options, adding new parts every week and major features like new species and custom posing on a regular basis. And as a listener of the Horror Queers podcast, you get a special deal. Use code HQ to get 5% off on all orders of physical miniatures. Visit heroforge.com to start designing your custom miniature and dice today, and check back often. New content is added every week. And remember, use code HQ to get 5% off on all orders of physical miniatures. Not combinable with other sales or promotions.
Today's episode is presented by Ice Cream Man. In theaters August 7th from the horror section. Writer and director Eli Roth wants you to cool off this summer in Baleen Bay, an idyllic small town that melts into sheer terror when an ice cream man serves up soft serve sweets with harrowing hardcore horror. Ari Miller stars as the titular terror, topped with music by Snoop Dogg and effects by Oscar winner Adrian Moreau and Steve Newburn. Say it with me, folks. I scream, you scream. We all scream for Ice Cream Man. In theaters August 7th. Get tickets now.
Your window.
Okay, I'm going to give a content warning. The dog does die in this movie, although it is off screen. And, you know, it's very clearly a dog playing dead.
Either that or it was just a stuffed animal.
Or it's a stuffed animal.
Yeah. But I was quite surprised the dog dies in this movie. Because, again, 1954.
I mean, hey, it's not like we were kinder back then.
Yeah.
Okay, so we begin with a jaunty score, although I guess we can attribute this to... Yeah, is this the score? Who does this?
Yeah, no, so this is that Franz guy, the one that was the last. So this is basically the bulk of the score, is this opening credits and then the end credits.
There we go. Okay. And we get to watch as 3 window shades slowly rise. It's so obvious, and yet it works so efficiently because it's almost like the curtain rising on either a theater play or, like, hey, the movie is about to begin, but here you go. This is our setting. You will be looking out these windows for the duration of the film. It's clever. I like it a lot.
Yeah.
So the camera pushes out into a courtyard of an apartment complex in New York City, and we get to watch our quick introduction of all of these neighbors before we return to focus in on a very sweaty L.B. Jeffries, who is Jimmy Stewart. I'm just going to call him Jeff for the rest of the film.
Absolutely. And yeah, this opening, like the single take, 90-second long shot, is pretty, it's a pretty famous opening for a Hitchcock film.
Right.
It required a lot of rehearsals and 10 takes during a half day of filming.
Whew, that is a lot of work for 90 seconds. But I mean, right? It sets the stage, Trace. Because really, this is indicative of what the entire film is going to be like.
Yeah. I mean, we are introduced to every single character. And I love that Jeff is like the last one we're introduced to because we get to see all of the side characters first.
Right. I mean, in some ways, we spend more time with them than we do with him. Yes. Or it feels like we do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we should also note that during this sort of 4-minute opening, so it's the 90-second long take, but then there's a bunch of other things that kind of happen. We do get to see both his action photography, so we do get to see the image in which he broke both of his legs as well as his camera, and then we also get to see his fashion photography. So there's a stack of magazines and other things that he has also done. So it gives you immediately that sense of tension between his kind of, ooh, I'm out there living in the world, packing just one single bag, but then also his life here with Lisa, who of course is indebted to that fashion world.
Yeah, and I mean, the economy of exposition here, there is no dialogue here, and we just get almost everything we need to know about this complex, the people in it, and Jeff right here.
Right, yeah. So, folks, obviously, if you know anything about this movie, you know it is explicitly about voyeurism. I'm not going to go too deep into any of that, but I did want to introduce my one source for this episode, which is David Grebin, who has written a book called Psychosexual, which is about the films of Alfred Hitchcock. I found a piece where he was basically talking up the book, and, you know, he's got a blurb about Rear Window that he used to kind of advertise himself. So he says, Stewart's Jeffries is emblematic of Hitchcockian masculinity, which is defined by a tendency toward towards, here's our list, voyeurism, a push-pull attraction to the homoerotic, and an attitude towards sexuality that can best be described as pornographic.
Wait, so I'm sorry, is he attributing voyeurism as a masculine trait?
Specifically one that a lot of Hitchcock protagonists or Hitchcock males will end up demonstrating.
Got it. I didn't know if it was like a generalization across the entire male gender.
No, just the Hitchcock guys.
I'm sorry, the heterosexual male gender.
Yeah, there we go. But I thought it was interesting to propose this up front because I do think that it informs a lot of the conversations that we're going to have about specifically who Jeff is, his kind of attitude towards things like marriage, towards voyeurism, and even the ways that he and Thorwald are kind of reflective of one another. So that's where that homoeroticism piece comes in. But even like his relationship with Doyle, his war buddy, who is now the police detective, there's a kind of banter that could be read as slightly flirtatious. And I'll confess, I don't have a firm thesis on how exactly I want to read Jeff, but the reality is like his reticence towards marriage and pledging himself to Lisa in this film, to me, it can't be read as queer, where it's like, you've got this woman, why won't you just commit to her? And it's like, no, I want to go out and live a dashing single life. And it's like, I don't know. Are you running away from women?
Well, I mean, because, and again, as I said, the reasons he will give as to why he doesn't want to marry Grace Kelly's Lisa are very gendered. You know, it's, oh, I'm going to be in the mud and eating fish heads, and she's a proper woman. Who doesn't want that? So if we want to kind of dig further into a queer reading, it's almost like, hey, he wants someone who has these kind of masculine traits who can traipse through the jungle with him, which isn't going to be the woman as he knows it.
Right. And also, you know, this is 1954, so we're looking at gender in a very traditional kind of, this is almost siloed, right? You know, men go out and do stuff and it's hard living and girls like fashion and pretty dresses.
And it's definitely a thing we're watching this. Like, I did clock myself a couple times because Lisa's knowledge of like the social, being a socialite and fashion, things like that, they will come to play and like be useful in the investigation. But there were so many times where I was watching this and I was like, God damn it. Like, why does it have to be, oh, she knows about jewelry. Oh, she knows about women. Like, it's very antiquated, but I just kept reminding myself, hey, this is 70 years ago.
Yeah, it does fit the times and it fits the character, right? It's not as if Lisa, like at one point she compares herself to a His Girl Friday, which of course is another movie, but it's an ill-defined comparison from my point of view because she's not plucky and she's not helpful in that way. Like, she wants to be, but it's only because she thinks it's the only way for her to fit into Jeff's world. Like, there's one part where after he basically tells her to shut up for an entire evening.
He doesn't basically tell her. He does tell her twice. To shut up.
It's honestly a fucking unlikable character sold by Jimmy Stewart, America's dad or whatever.
I think it plays like gentle ribbing the first time he says it, but then the second time he says it, I'm like, dude.
Maybe you're the one who needs to shut up. But when she leaves that night and she almost suggests she will never come back, like they are breaking up, she says, I just want to find a way to live in your world. And that's really what the movie is for her arc, is her saying, I can do this thing, you know, like, put me in, coach, let me go and do the investigative journalism. Let me break into a guy's apartment. Let me take the risks and so on. But so much of it is her saying, I can be something other than this prim and proper woman who just wants to get married.
Which I get that. But like, again, like her response to like when he's like, oh, well, would you eat fish heads? And she's like, no, absolutely not. And he's like, well, you might have to. I'm like, okay, well, like, I don't want to side with Jeff here, but maybe he has a point. Like,
okay, I'm gonna show my cards because I was gonna wait until the very end because I do think that the final image of this movie is very telling, and I feel like it's almost contentious, like it's open for debate about who ultimately wins this battle of the sexes. But I spent a large part of this movie being like, hey, Jeff, how come she's the one who has to accommodate your needs? Like, why can't you stay in New York and just do your fucking fashion photography? Because it seems like you're the one who is unwilling to give any kind of ground. Like, she has to be the one to say, oh yeah, I'll give up the pretty dresses and go and live in the mud and eat fish heads with you, as opposed to him relinquishing anything to her.
Well, but I'm not defending this, but I'm just saying, like, it seems like this is the type of photographer he is. He goes out, like, he's like almost a war photographer. Like he goes to get the pictures that no one else can get because he's just that good. And so for him to like say, oh, I'll just stay in New York and do all my photography here, that's completely changing his profession, even though it's still photography.
Yeah. See, I would argue he's never really investigated this because you live in fucking New York City,
right?
Arguably one of the busiest, most interesting cities in North America, but possibly the entire world. Like, you can't tell me you can't go do action photography in New York City. I
do wonder, though, if, and again, they don't say this in the film, I'm just totally guessing and speculating here, but it could be a thing where it's like, oh, I wonder if a lot of photography in New York is like fashion photography or like even like theater photography, and that just doesn't interest him because it doesn't give him the same kind of charge.
Not the same thrill. He wants to be out there on the margins or in the fringes, like getting dirty and so on. But
and if there is one like weakness to this movie, I think it is, I would have loved to have seen like that conversation like hashed out a bit more. But I think maybe because of the limitations of the time period, we're just kind of like, no, that's not really what we're interested in interrogating here.
Yeah, like his ultimate profession is almost immaterial so much as he doesn't believe that there is a life for him in settling down, and that is what she wants from him.
Right. And I'm sorry, going back to when she said, you know, she's like, I'm gonna leave, I'm not gonna come back for a very long time. AKA, I'll be back tomorrow night.
Well, because she loves him, she can't stay away. But also, girl, a modicum of self-respect,
that's
please.
Like, she
48 hours.
Says, it might not be for a very long time. At least until tomorrow night.
At least until tomorrow night.
24 hours is his punishment, basically.
She just loves canoodling with this guy who literally cannot get away from her. Yeah. Okay, so speaking of, we're basically thrown into the story with 1 week left before this cast comes off Jeff's leg. So he was involved in a car accident getting this amazing shot, but it did end up breaking his leg for, we're told, about 7 or 8 weeks. So he's got 1 week until the cast comes off, and he is bored as fuck, which is why he has taken to spying on all of his neighbors, because he can't do anything else.
Yeah, and so by the time the movie starts, he's already been spying on them for weeks. Like, he's already much more acquainted with them than we are.
Yeah, so let's introduce the neighbors. So we have Miss Torso, who's played by Georgine Darcy. She entertains men, she takes lessons, and she is often doing her dance moves scantily clothed. So, yeah, we're definitely putting on a show.
And Darcy was a trained ballet dancer. Hitchcock told her to make up her own choreography for her scenes.
Oh, nice. Okay. Yeah, it looks very real and authentic. So. Yeah. As you mentioned, we do have a songwriter who is Ross Bagdasarian, and he is working frustratedly on a new song. He's composing something, so we'll hear that song throughout. It also gets folded into our love story between Jeff and Lisa, where she thinks it's beautiful, and he's like, oh, the fact that he's struggling with it is very reflective of our relationship, and you just think, oh my God, you are an asshole. And then, of course, we have a very important character in costume jewelry salesman Thorwald, who is played by Raymond Burr, who some folks may recognize as the future Perry Mason on television. But Trace didn't know until we started doing research for this. Closeted gay actor who would come out in the 90s.
So actually, I don't even know if he ever officially came out, because from what I was reading, no one ever officially reported his queerness until after his death. And another random thing, so he had a biography written about him that apparently was filled with inaccuracies and just outright lies that people didn't start putting together until after he died.
Wow.
Yeah, like, it seemed to be that he really wanted his legacy to be a very specific thing.
Right.
Which included things he just made up.
Yes, yeah. So I definitely know that he allegedly had 2 marriages, 2 women. And it turns out that upon investigation, both of these women were made up by his publicist to essentially cast speculation and closer investigation of his love life off track.
One of them was Natalie Wood. Like, Natalie Wood was his beard for a while, and apparently she was removed from Raymond Burr to go be Tab Hunter's beard, and Burr took that very personally and resented Tab Hunter for it.
How dare you steal my beard? I need her.
Tab Hunter, by the way, everyone, someone who had a very lengthy relationship with Anthony Perkins.
The Hitchcock connections just keep it coming. But so Thorwald will be our antagonist for the film, and he has a quote-unquote nagging wife who is played by Irene Winston, although she's only here for the shortest amount of time because, of course, this will be our murder victim.
Yeah.
Sort of. I mean, the movie never actually confirms if he murdered her. I think we're meant to believe that he absolutely does. But, like, the truth is that we never see her body trudged out of some trunk or anything like that. It's just, she definitely never made it to her sister's place.
No, I think they say at the end, like, he tells the cops that he's going to take them to that East River or something because that's where he put all of her body parts. So, like...
I meant more, like, we don't have a psycho shot with the car coming out of the lake or anything.
Oh, right, yeah. I think we're meant to take that as verbatim fact.
Yeah. Okay, so Jeff does have a nurse who comes to work on him more or less every day, every other day. So this is Stella, played by Thelma Ritter, and she is the third member of our trio. So no romantic relationship to Jeff and Lisa, but she is in the muck with them.
Thelma Ritter is the stealth MVP of this movie.
Not even stealth. I think most people are like, my God, she owns this film.
I love this character. So I think that was because I really knew nothing about this movie outside of Jimmy Stewart witnesses a neighbor across the way committing a murder. That's all I knew. And so I was like convinced, or I was worried going in that it was going to be, Lisa and Stella going to be like, hey man, like you're overthinking this. Basically playing the detective role in this movie where it's like, and so I was really, really happy that they actually like
they're co-conspirators.
There's a cut at one point in the film where we just cut it. They're just both like behind him, like looking across the way. And it's like, they're roped in. They're roped in.
they're resistant initially, and then the further we go, the more they just buy into it, and then they're out there literally doing the investigating because Jeff can't leave the apartment.
It's almost comical that Lisa isn't fully invested until he's like, yeah, her jewelry was left behind, and she's like, what? Murder.
The fashion spidey sense is tingling. That's not right. I'm all in now. Yeah, it's pretty good. Okay, so initially Stella is not on board, but it's mostly just because she sees Jeff putting off this relationship with Lisa to become something like a peeping Tom. So she notes that he has a hormone deficiency because the bathing beauties haven't raised your temperature in a month. And again, part of me is like, I don't know, that seems a little queer. Like, you spend all this time looking at Miss Torso, but your temperature remains the same. Admittedly, we are in the middle of a New York City summer heat wave.
She's basically telling him to go masturbate.
I mean, how come you're not rubbing one out if you're so invested in what's going on across the laneway?
She's like, I'm your nurse. I know what's best for you. Go rub one out.
You know what? Heal thyself with a good, Okay, so she's rubbing his back, and they're talking about the, quote, trouble that he has with Lisa Fremont. This would be Grace Kelly's character. She wants to get married, and he considers her too perfect and too rich. So he's definitely doing that. Oh, I've decided you're too good for me, so you need to go away. I can't be with you. Like, I'm protecting you from me. But it all seems very self-serving.
He tells her, I wish that Lisa was more, and I quote, ordinary. And when I first heard that, I was like, okay, so it sounds like this Lisa woman has maybe a career or like a life outside of the house. And he wants her to be a more domesticated, quote unquote, ordinary woman. And of course, we'll get into the meat and potatoes of it later, which we've already kind of discussed. And again, I do understand his side of it. Like, I do not think Lisa is going to be out there eating fucking intestines or whatever with him. And granted, should he give her the opportunity to prove herself? Yes, if he really cares about her, he should. But if he doesn't, then he should cut this chick loose.
I mean, that truly is my thing. Like, he comes off like a minor asshole to me for a large portion of this film. I just think that they're not good for each other. They keep coming back to each other, and they do find a way to maybe make it work. As I said, we'll talk about the end of the film and what it is suggesting or who wins. But I spend a large part of this film saying, you're just not right for each other. And neither one of you is willing to fully admit it. He comes closest, but he's still not doing it for the right reasons. It's like, no, we just shouldn't be dating in the first place.
Yeah, and as to why Lisa is so adamant on marrying Jeff, I am unclear on that. But
no, I mean, it's Jimmy Stewart. He's not even that good looking.
But again, Lisa has such an air of like just confidence and pride that I'm just kind of like, you know what? Yeah, go for it. You do you.
It's almost like she has decided that Jeff will be her husband, and now she's just making it happen, regardless of whether he wants it or not.
It's a little bit like Audrey Hepburn's character in Breakfast at Tiffany's, Holly Goodlightly, where it's like, oh, like I have to marry a man who has this certain stature. I've been on record. I really hate Holly Goodlightly as a character. I fucking hate her so much. Mm-hmm. No. But Lisa is a more palatable version of Holly Goodlightly, I feel.
Okay. Yeah, I have not seen Breakfast at Tiffany's, so I cannot comment.
I need to watch it again, but I love Audrey Hepburn. I do not like Holly Golightly.
That is fair. Yeah. Okay, so yeah, Stella basically argues that he's making too much of a fuss about all this. He's thinking too much about it. And I do think that this is, like, a large portion of this film is very much a conversation about the contemporary state of marriage, 1954. Mm-hmm. So Stella argues, it used to be you saw somebody, you liked them, you got married to them. You didn't overthink it. You didn't psychoanalyze it. So this feels in some ways very similar to the kinds of debates that we have about like, oh, what is a man and what is a woman nowadays? Where it's like, oh, okay, they've been doing this for going on 70 fucking years. You know, why do we need to turn this into a thought experiment? Or why does it have to be so complicated? Why can't people just kind of get back to the way things were? But even in 1954, we're saying, oh, well, things weren't the way we thought they were.
Yeah, I want to see Stella's reaction to the free love of the 60s.
All right. She's going to be like, finally, we're back. We don't even need to get married. We could just be fucking. Yeah, so I love, too, that there is this subtle commentary to most things that happen in Jeff's apartment. So they're having this conversation like, when people love each other, they should just get married. They should just be fucking. And then we look across the courtyard and this newlywed couple moves in, just immediately starts making out, draws the blinds. Okay, so our introduction to Lisa is arguably one of my favorite parts of this entire movie. So it's nighttime and a shadow falls across Jeff's face as Lisa arrives in slow motion to kiss him.
And we just have her like approaching the camera, like just getting closer and closer and closer. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, so as you mentioned, we don't really have a score for the film, but we do have the sounds of the city, the courtyard, and all of that drops away as she appears as well, as if she just cuts out all of the noise. She takes up all of the sound when she appears. She's
like a celestial being. She's even got like a little glow around her, too, from the lighting.
I mean, it's Grace fucking Kelly.
Yeah.
And she is just so stunningly gorgeous in this movie. I made a, quippy comment about how Jimmy Stewart, he is truly, to me, an everyman. Like, he's not bad looking, but he's not a Hollywood, like, he's not a god or anything. Tab Hunter, take a look, folks.
Yeah.
But Grace Kelly, she's a fucking 11.
Yeah, and like, again, she has that kind of a very unique affectation in her voice. Like, she is American, but she speaks in a way that
it's like a sing-song kind of quality, isn't it?
And maybe that's just, it's like the actress in her. Like, it's almost Katharine Hepburn-y. But yeah, she has so much charisma on the screen. I was just, my eyes were just glued to her every time she was there.
She completely pops in every scene that she appears in. I did find this interesting piece of IMDb trivia, and I don't know if it's specifically referring to this, so I'm going to read it, and I'm going to invite people who maybe know a little bit more about the film or who are lucky enough to see a different cut, quote unquote, of it. But IMDb says the film was fully restored from original negatives in 1998. So part of it was that in the original prints that they had, they started to lose the color yellow. So they had to restore it. So a new negative was created and it resembles the original color scheme of the film. And this is where I have my question. It says, but the first kissing scene had to be restored digitally because the source elements were in bad condition. So I don't know if this is just in reference to the color or the whole scene in question had to be digitally restored, because I wondered if then the kind of losing of the sound or the way that this is edited, the shift to slow motion, is that part of this restoration?
I confess a chunk of that would have been discussed on the featurette that I watched. Because it's, I mean, the featurette's literally called Rear Window Ethics, Remembering and Restoring a Hitchcock Classic. And like the last 15 minutes of this hour-long featurette is about the restoration process. And I confess, I skipped over that because I was like, I don't need to know about the restoration.
Also, in Trace's defense, we're recording 3 main feed episodes in a single week, and he is so overworked. So if we get anything wrong, I don't want to hear about it because he has been working his ass off.
But that's the thing where I was like, because I never go through like that kind of technical stuff on the production history. Right. But yeah, now I'm curious.
Okay, so folks, we are asking if you do know the answer to that. We would love to know.
I did catch the beginning of it, and they said like when they decided to restore this, which again I guess would have been the late 90s. Apparently, a lot of Hitchcock films they found have been like very improperly stored, and they were like, if we don't get to work on restoring these films will be lost forever. And so we were in danger at this time period in the late 90s of like, oh, we might lose a lot of Hitchcock's films. Yeah. Like Rear Window.
I mean, wild. But the realities of things shot on film is that they will degrade. So it happens. And folks, if you think we're better off because a lot of things are no longer shot on film and they're all digital, guess what? It breaks down faster.
No, well, there you
go. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the clothes because we do talk about how expensive this outfit is. Dude. So when she appears, she has this white gown with a kind of black top to it, but it's all one dress. And she gives us a price tag for it. So in 1954 dollars, this is a $1.1 thousand gown. That's the price tag she gives in the film. So I think part of this is that she truly is involved in the fashion scene of the city. Like, I think she has ties to this magazine that she wants him to come and work for. But, like, this is some Devil Wears Prada shit.
Oh, Joe. So as soon as I heard that price, I was like, all right, let's go to the inflation calculator because $1,100 is a lot for a dress today. I mean, for me, again. I'm sure it's not in the grand scheme of things, but adjusted for inflation, something that cost $1,100 in 1954 would cost over $13,000 today.
Jesus Christ. And she's just wearing this around his apartment.
Yeah. And she says she never wears the same dress twice because, again, her job is a socialite. Like, she can't be seen and she can't be photographed wearing the same dress twice. So this seems to be the dress that she just decides to wear to his apartment tonight. This $13,000 dress.
We'll hear that she's often going and coming from meetings with very important people. And presumably she's not just, oh, I'm out on the street and I'm wearing this ridiculously expensive dress. It's because she's been meeting important people, but still, just even the idea that you would wear something kind of off the runway to just go to your boyfriend's apartment and hang out with him.
Yeah.
It's wild. Anyway, so this is where we get the kind of crux of their relationship problem. So she wants him to settle down, and he's like, no, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And we see this contrasted with various neighbors who are doing variations of that. So we see the character of Miss Lonely Hearts, who is played by Judith Evelyn, and she literally pantomimes an imaginary dinner date before she breaks down crying.
And this escalates because we see this the first time, and then at one point she'll go across the street and have an invisible date in public. And then, of course, the one time she brings home a guy, it ends in disaster. So it's this is the side character who I think has the most, is given the most interiority or the most life in the film.
And zero dialogue from what we can tell.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. It's so good.
Yeah. So she is presented as something of a tragic figure. She would clearly like to be in a relationship and she cannot find someone. And she's very much this poor woman, she's going to die alone kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
We also see Miss Torso entertaining a trio of men. So she has brought home several men. And we will later, I think, hear Lisa comment, well, she doesn't love any of these people. Like, she's kind of doing what she needs to do as a woman of that age because she's trying to find someone. But in the meantime, she's just entertaining.
So the guy that Miss Torso has at the end, is that not meant to be a guy that she's been dating this entire time?
So I read it as he's a soldier. We hear him say that he's come home. And I think part of it is that he was away at war.
Right. But because I don't think she's actually with any of these guys. She's not having sex with any of these guys that we're seeing right now.
Well, this is where the Hays Code comes into effect.
Right.
I think we're meant to read her. I think the film wants us to think that she is a slut or a floozy because she's having all of these men and she's going out drinking and she's coming home at the exact same time as Thorwald, which is like 2 a.m., 5 a.m., but then the end of the movie confirms, oh no, she's actually just been living a life, and then she's actually got this stable relationship with a guy who comes home to her.
So I actually, because we'll see later in the film that there's a point where a guy tries to come into her apartment and she has to yell at him, like, no,
yes.
Get out.
Get out.
And so I almost view it as, no, she's like around the company of men because she's a woman by herself in the big city. And so she goes out with men, brings them home. But like, I can't remember if she's kissing one of the guys in this balcony, but I remember Lisa specifically says she's not in love with any of them. And so I thought that was meant to tell us, again, kind of anticipate that, oh, she is in love with someone. He's just not here right now.
Yeah, like there's meant to be a very stark difference between the way she interacts with all these other men who are sort of rotating through her apartment and the guy at the end where it's like, oh, this is the one. This is the right guy.
But I think because we see her later in the film, like not letting a guy stay the night, I think that's meant to indicate that she never lets guys stay the night.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a lot of shorthand where if you're paying attention, you will note. But some of this does feel very much, okay, well, what are our assumptions like as an audience based on how we're seeing them or how Jeff is reacting to them?
Well, and truthfully, I think that's part of the brilliance of this movie is that the film gives you a lot about these side characters, but at the end of the day, you still have to fill in a lot of the blanks yourself. And so I think that's how and why two people can walk out of this movie with completely different reads on the inner lives of one or more of these characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think it's also a testament to how we as human beings like to make up stories, right? Like, because we're aligned or the whole story is being focalized through Jeff's perspective, we often end up sharing his ideas or his points of view, quite literally, of these neighbors. And I love this idea that really this is Jeff's interpretation of them and their micro dramas. Because, as I said, during the pandemic, I made up character names for all of my neighbors and had stories about what they were doing with their lives in the same way that they probably did with me as well. It's like if you pass someone on the street on your way to work every day, you start to make up a fiction about who they are, what their life is like, because we like to tell stories.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so of course, it's an Alfred Hitchcock movie, so we do get a cameo. He is the clock tuner in the musician's apartment. And then we have Lisa noting that the songwriter's song is almost written for them. And honestly, this is where I really just start to aggressively dislike Jeff, because she's like, this is romantic. It feels like it's the soundtrack to our romance. And he's like, oh, it must be why it's taking him so long, why he's having so much hardship with it. And you're like, asshole.
I mean, it is a thing where there is a rom-com in this movie, like between Jeff and Lisa, but it is very much a thing where it's like, the two biggest hurdles for me is I can't figure out why Lisa likes Jeff so much, and I can't figure out why Jeff is so adamant outside of the Lisa won't eat fish heads. It's like why he doesn't want Lisa to be with him.
Also, every time you say Lisa won't eat fish heads, I just keep going, Lisa needs braces. Okay, so this is when he tells her to shut up a bunch of times. I do, again, like, the thing that he says is he dictates she'll have to do this when she comes with him. And I just thought, oh, wow, there is no middle ground. This relationship is doomed for failure because he will not give up any room. He will not meet her halfway in any capacity.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so he suggests he's just being truthful. The matter of the fact is that she won't go with him. He can't stay here, and neither one of them will change.
But that's, I didn't write down this line, because when he's talking about the fish heads and all this stuff, and she's like, you don't have to be deliberately, like, disgusting just to impress me that I'm wrong. And I'm like, you're fueling his argument, Lisa. Like, if you're like, oh, that's so gross, never. Like, well, that's literally what he's going to be doing and what you will be doing if you go with him. So hike up your britches and buckle up.
Meanwhile, I'm just over here being like, no, you need to put your foot down and say, you don't need to do that anymore. There's a perfectly good job here for you in the city.
I don't know, man. Like, again, I would not want to do what Jeff does for his job, for his photography. And maybe it would have helped if we saw more.
No, I don't think we need it. It's more just I think it's more personal preferences where I'm looking at him and I'm saying, oh yeah, no, I understand the type. You think that you're an adrenaline junkie, that you're driven to go out and do this very exciting stuff. And the reality is that you just feel threatened because your girlfriend is suggesting maybe it's time to start moving on or settling down.
And here's the thing. I don't think Jeff is in the wrong for any of this. I think he is well within his right to say, no, this is my career. This is what I want to do. I don't want to change my job to some boring photography job in New York. I think he's well within his right to say that, but that means he needs to break up with Lisa.
Yeah, and like actually break up with her, not tell Stella about how he's going to do that, and then allow Lisa to come by with lobster and canoodles.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and he tells her, can't we just keep this as the status quo? Like, I like what we're doing now.
When he says that kind of shit, I'm just like, sure, but you're going to keep having this same fucking fight.
Well, and that's where I say again, I think he's well within his right to say that, but it's clearly not something this is when she says, oh, with no future, sorry, not going to see you for a while, aka a day. But it's like a thing where it's like, okay, yeah, you're well within your right to want these things that you want. They're just not compatible with each other. So you need to break up.
Yeah. And I mean, I think part of the amusing commentary of the film is suggestive that all couples will encounter something like this, maybe not to this extent and not on this particular subject, but like all couples fight. That's why we do end up getting to see the newlyweds fighting by the end of the film. So they've gone from the honeymoon phase to the reality is setting in. But also the suggestion that the alternative to all of this fighting could be Thorwald's relationship, because this is the night in question where we just hear, don't, shout it across the corridor, and we will never see Miss Thorwald again.
Yeah, and you sounded questioning earlier when you were like this nagging wife, and I wanted to hone in on that because I agree, where I'm like, I didn't get the impression from the minimal interactions we see between Thorwald and his wife that she was that much of a hag.
I mean, again, this is definitely filtered through what we can hear, what we can see of her. So we will later hear her described as an invalid. Mm-hmm. I actually meant to look this up before we started recording because I feel like I have a very different definition. Like an invalid to me is somebody who cannot take care of themselves and they need constant help to do, some basic functions. Like we see her mostly in bed in this case. We see him deliver food to her. But also there's a couple of points where she gets up and she eavesdrops on him making a telephone call. So their relationship seemed a little lopsided, but it seemed like she was just maybe suspicious of some of the things that he was doing, but not like, I'm the wife who can't do anything for myself, and he just gets tired and resentful of it.
I thought when they said invalid, I was thinking, okay, so she's confined to the bed. She's paralyzed or something, right, and that's what I thought. So I did look this up while I was watching. So an invalid is someone who's confined to the bed or the home because of disability or injury. So we never learn what it is that afflicts Mrs. Thorwald, but it's not paralysis because, she can very much stand up and walk around the apartment.
Okay, so I think it's safe to assume then, because we also never see her actually leave the apartment, except, in a suitcase. In a suitcase. So I guess, we can read it as he is the one who has to go out because he's the salesman. So he has to go out and kind of pound the pavement, and then he comes home and she's just always there and she's critiquing him or something like that.
I will say the Wikipedia plot for this movie refers to Thorwald as being henpecked by his wife.
Oh my God. That is a very contemporary edit, and I don't think appropriate for this movie.
I'd never heard of it before, so I had to look it up. But henpecked, particularly of husbands or boyfriends, are men who are intimidated or overwhelmed by a nagging or overbearing matriarch, wife, or girlfriend.
No, that is giving soft misogyny, and I don't like it.
It is the 1950s term for pussy whipped.
Ew.
I'm only saying that because pussy whipped is in the see also section of the Wikipedia page for henpecked.
Somebody went to town on this Wikipedia entry is all I'm saying. Jesus Christ. Okay, so we should note that this is the evening where like a lot of things happen and we get very specific kind of time barometers. So we hear the woman scream, don't, and then we get this quick fade. Jeff awakens in the middle of a thunderstorm. I love that moment where the couple on the top floor with the dog, they get caught in the rain. They have to push the mattress in and that kind of stuff.
This was kind of fun too. So Hitchcock gave each of them different directions, like basically told the wife to go left and told the husband to go right. And so that way
Right.
when he falls in the window, that was an accident that Hitchcock kept in. That was what he was trying to make happen with the different directions he was giving the actors.
Right. Yeah, because they're in sync, but they're also doing their own thing. And again, it feels very symbolic of larger marital issues, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
We do also see Thorwald leaving with his, business case at 1:55 in the morning. And then he returns 40 minutes later at 2:35. But then he leaves almost as quickly. And Jeff awakens later when Thorwald is coming home. It's at the same time that either the composer or Miss Torso are coming home.
Yeah.
But then he misses seeing Thorwald leaving with a woman who we will come to later learn is not his wife at around 6 or dawn.
And I will say, because I watched this not knowing for sure if the ending was going to be, he actually killed his wife or he didn't kill his wife. And I mean, truthfully, that's the best way to watch it because it adds to the suspense of the film. But when you rewatch it knowing, he's actually killed this woman, it's always it's like, oh, wow, this is really obvious. Because, he's clearly carrying her body parts out in this suitcase to go drop them in the East River.
Yeah.
Except her head. He still has her head. We will find that out later.
So dark. Okay, so in the morning, Stella works on Jeff. They're gossiping about the neighbors once again. This is where we get to see how the neighbors with the mattress who got caught in the rain, I'm so surprised that none of my neighbors have done this, where they just put the dog in the basket and drop it down to let it relieve itself in the courtyard.
It's such a great concept. I would be terrified putting my dog in something like this. It's 3 stories, 2 stories, whatever, but it's a great contraption, but I would be so scared for my dogs.
Yeah, tiny little pooch potentially jumps out or gets startled by something and falls. No, it's scary. So Stella argues that Miss Torso is going to end up fat and miserable, which I think is very judgy. I do think that the movie has its characters judge Miss Torso until the very end when we get confirmation she's a quote-unquote good girl with a stable partner.
But I think that that's also the film playing on audiences' expectations, because I can guarantee you that 1954 audiences watching this movie would have been like, oh,
she's
what
a hussy.
whore. Yeah, exactly. So I do think it is meant to be a twist at the end. Maybe not a twist, but a gentle subversion that she's been in a relationship this entire time.
Yeah, check your fucking assumptions.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And Jeff admits that Miss Lonely Heart fell asleep. She was drunk again. So we're really starting to set up some of these storylines. And it's fun because at this point, you don't entirely know which storylines could become important. You think maybe none of them are important except for Thorwald. So I love that Miss Lonely Heart does end up playing an almost side part in capturing him or driving the conflict later on. And
it's actually her, because her suicide attempt is what kind of helps save the day, but it also distracts them from being able to save or warn Lisa in time whenever Thorwald is coming home.
Yeah. No, I love that, right? It's one of those, it's almost a coincidence or a byproduct in a way. And you just think, because all of their lives are intersecting with one another. So they would all have a role to play.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, Thorwald remains the big mystery for Jeff. He's starting to zero in on one particular neighbor that he wants to talk about. He wants to speculate, hypothesize. He's very interested in what Thorwald is up to, especially when we start to see that the dog is digging in Thorwald's garden. What is that dog up to? What has it found?
Yeah.
So this is when Jeff swaps out his binoculars for his enormous telephoto camera lens. I love it because it's just a great fucking image. But this idea of, my binoculars aren't cutting it. I need this honestly phallic lens where I'm getting off watching these people, but also the suggestion of murder is pornographic, right?
Well, and the big old lens is his big old hard on.
Yes, Trace, that's what I was saying.
I know. I was just spelling it out, what you were implying. But I do think also for a technical reason for switching out from the binoculars to the camera is because Hitchcock wants to show the reflection in the lens, which is bigger than what we can see in the binoculars.
Yes. Oh, that's a good catch.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they end up having to hide from Thorwald because everybody has a window and or a balcony from which to look out. So the idea that people are going to be looking back at Jeff as he is looking at them. So we have to kind of hide from him, and we're focusing in on this garden. And that's when we see Thorwald wrapping up a large butcher knife and a saw in a newspaper. So
yeah, this is...
It's a little much, but I think it's meant to really start to suggest, okay, what you suspected is happening is definitely happening.
Yeah, and this is kind of the moment where I was like, okay, like, what practical reason could this man possibly have for wrapping up a very large butcher knife? It looks almost like a surgical knife. Oh, calling back to homicidal. And yeah, this big hand saw that's ripped out of Saw. It's just like, yeah, I would be pretty suspicious too. Now, would I want to get involved? No.
No. And in their defense, they do a lot of guessing and talking about it. And then there's a moment where they just say, well, let's call in your detective friend.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But before we get to that, we have Lisa coming back so that she can canoodle. She wants him to pay attention to her and not the neighbors, to which I say, folks, maybe you're just not compatible.
Yeah, she just gets in his lap and they kiss a lot, but he's like, hey, like, let's talk about this saw this guy had. She's still trying to kiss him, like, shut up.
He's like, hey, how come we're not looking at the saw over there? Yeah. So he just can't stop thinking about Thorwald, which again, I wrote, oh, you got a literal 11 in your lap, kissing you, wanting you to pay attention to her, probably making out. Like, the whole suggestion is that they have not had sex because it would not be proper. They're not married. She's not that kind of girl.
Yeah.
That's part of what Doyle will insinuate later on when he checks out her nightgown and all this kind of stuff. Like, oh, you're fucking this chick, but you're not married? Shocker.
I mean, I will say, like, it is bad on Jeff because, like, he has a good gig. Like, Lisa, like, when she brings home, like, a fucking 5-star restaurant meal, I was like,
that lobster?
Oh my God.
The full lobster?
Yes. I was like, oh my God, she has so many connections from her socialite gig. Quit your job, man. Let her be the breadwinner. That's fine.
Say, lock that shit down. Clearly, it's an easy ride to beautiful things, easy things, delicious food. Anyway, but I don't know, Trace, is it a little gay to have a woman in your lap and not be able to stop thinking about the neighbor, the man neighbor?
Just a little bit. Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah. But I mean, some of the questions that we're asking are legitimate when you start to pose them. So why did Thorwald go out so often in the night? Why didn't he go to work the next day? And how come no one has checked on the invalid wife whose blinds are still drawn? So, All right. So she ends up retiring to the fainting couch. We should note she's wearing a completely different dress because, as you said, she wears something new every time we see her. And he just wants to talk about murder and the fact that we saw Thorwald with rope. She calls him diseased, but this is when the huge trunk comes out and all of a sudden Lisa gets a little invested in the whole thing. So she's the one, because of course Jeff cannot leave the apartment, so she has to go and check on whose name it is. Because I've been saying Thorwald this whole time. We don't actually know this guy's name. We don't know what unit number he's in. We don't have his telephone. So she has to go and identify this guy by name. And then in the morning, that's when we call Tom Doyle, who is Jeff's old war buddy, who is now a detective. He's played by Wendell Corey, and he basically says, hey, I think this guy committed a murder, so I'm going to need you to come over here and help me out. Mm-hmm. We should also note that there is a good comedic beat here because Stella has been serving Jeff breakfast during this time, and she is just talking through the logistics of cutting up a body and all this other stuff as he is trying to eat, and he keeps losing his appetite. Yeah. It's very funny.
All of Stella, that would be a terrible job to tackle. Just how would you start to cut up a human body?
Ooh, guess I'm not eating these eggs. Ooh, guess I'm not eating this bacon.
Which I confess, even like vocalizing that thought felt kind of...
It's pretty grim. It's pretty like, 1954?
Yeah, exactly. I was like, I'm kind of surprised they could even say that. So, okay.
Yeah. So Doyle ends up arriving, and he's not super impressed by their deductive reasoning. He thinks that there's probably a very simple explanation. So this is the person who doesn't buy into the theory, who just exists to say, oh, well, maybe we shouldn't be doing this. You know, you need a naysayer in all of these films, but I'm glad you're right that it's not Stella and it's not Lisa, because that would be fucking boring. So anyway, meanwhile, the dog will not stop digging in the garden. So clearly there is something there. The question is what?
Yeah.
So Doyle ends up going off to investigate. He comes back with news from the superintendent, who confirms that Mr. Thorwald told him he took his wife out of the apartment at 6 a.m., put her on a train to the country, and we have actually got a telegraph from the sister that she's gone to visit, so everything is checked out. We don't need to question it. And Jeff correctly says, but it's Thorwald who told the superintendent that.
Yeah.
So if he's the murderer, why am I believing what he says?
Yeah, that's definitely the only thing where it's like, hey, can someone like get Mrs. Thorwald on the phone so we can hear her say this? Like, yeah, Thorwald's...
I want to hear it from her lips.
Yeah, Thorwald's plan, I mean, I'm not exactly sure how he was planning like, on explaining her absence. I guess maybe he was going to say, oh, she ran away, but I'm also like, isn't she an invalid? Like, can she just run away? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. It feels like in some ways this is the other half of the story to something like Diabolique, where we're just taking a body out in a trunk and then being like, oh, I guess she just left for a bit.
So here's the thing. I think it depends on if you read Thorwald's murder of his wife as premeditated or not, because we don't know. And as you said earlier, like it's in the night, we just hear her scream, don't. And I actually believe that he accidentally killed her. I do believe he like probably abused her. He beat her or something, and it was just, too hard, and she wound up dying. And this is him scrambling to cover it up.
Right. I could definitely buy that. I mean, again, we don't know very much information about it, but I mean, his plan is not the most rocket safe kind of approach to getting rid of a murder. Yeah. If he did plan this out, I'm going to suggest he stick to selling costume jewelry.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I guess also like him being a costume jeweler is meant to also kind of explain why he might be looking through her purse at jewelry too, where you could say, oh, like that's his job. Like, of course, like that's not out of the ordinary for him.
Exactly. Yeah. We should note that when Doyle is conveying all of this information, he is taking stock of what Jeff has been up to. So he sees the binoculars. He sees Miss Torso doing her dance routine. I will say I love the visual symbolism of Jeff having an itch in his cast that he can't quite scratch. And I just wrote in my notes, keep scratching that itch, Jeff, in all the different ways.
It's never going to go for it because he's going to wind up with Lisa anyway.
This is true. Okay, so at this point, we see Miss Lonely Hearts go out for her dining experience at the restaurant solo. We'll say she looks great in this green dress.
Trust me. I don't write about costumes very much, but I wrote love the green dress with her red hair. It's so good.
yeah, it's a good color combination. She looks amazing, and you think, I want good things for this woman. I don't even know this woman's name. She is Miss Lonely Hearts.
Miss Lonely Hearts, yeah.
Okay, so she goes out. We see the songwriter entertaining. He's got a bunch of people who have come over. We're playing piano tunes and that kind of stuff, which I kind of like because it confirms that he does have that active social life that we can contrast with Miss Torso. And they're similar, but also different. But we don't approach him the same way. Like, we don't think, oh, he's being slutty because he has women over to his apartment.
Right.
It's like, no, he's an entertainer. So I found the gendered and sexual biases. I found these scenes were good at making me check myself.
All right. Okay. Yeah.
So then they watch as Thorwald prepares to go out, and Lisa starts to zero in on this idea of, oh, well, a woman would never leave her jewelry or her favorite handbag behind.
Yeah, her exact quote, that couldn't have been Mrs. Thorwald, or I don't know women. And I'm like, okay.
This is a bit of a reach, but sure.
but either way, I mean, I do like that Lisa gets involved in this. And she's not just like a passive participant where she's like, oh, like, let me help my man, like, solve this murder. No, she has viable information to help that he wouldn't possibly know.
Yeah, and she does voice this idea of, I want to find a way to be a part of your world, but it's not him saying, get in on this fucking murder investigation if you love me. It's her saying, I'm here, you won't shut the fuck up about it, so I'm going to bring what I do into the mix because I can be useful.
And maybe that's what it is, too. Maybe her climbing the balcony into that apartment at the end, maybe that's meant to be the whole, like, that's her
do it.
That's her fish head moment. Like, she would eat fish head. She climbed to this man's apartment.
100%. And not even up the fire escape, and then I've got to go from that into the open window.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. I mean, thank God she was wearing a dress.
I mean, A woman like her, she would never wear pants.
But I'm also like, okay, you're wearing like a $13,000 dress. Maybe you're gonna rip it on the window. Okay,
it doesn't matter, Trace. She'll get down into the muck. She'll eat those fucking fish eggs.
She will. Oh my god.
But in the meantime, what she has is a Mark Cross overnight bag. I love this. She's like, look, I can pack everything into a single case, and it's like, ma'am. That is a silk nightgown, a sheer like negligee, and slippers. This is not 1 month's worth of clothes in a single bag. This is an overnight bag.
She's going to be Mrs. Thorwald. She's not planning on leaving their room anytime when they're on vacation or when he's on the job.
I guess so, yeah. This is when she compares herself to his girl Friday. She's there to save Jeff, and he says, oh, but the character you're referring to never marries the guy.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Doyle returns. This is where he sees Lisa's case. Jeff warns him to be careful. So again, there's an interesting tension between Jeff and Doyle where, you know, Doyle is very obviously coded as heterosexual. That's why he takes notice of these kinds of elements. It's like, you've got a girl. I'm looking at the neighbor that you're checking out and so on. But Jeff often seems to be so preoccupied with men. And maybe it's just because he, quote unquote, has no time or energy for women's things. But it is interesting how obsessive Jeff is with spying on the man and then appeasing his male friend.
Yeah, I mean, and you're right, because Doyle thought he patronizes Lisa's feminine intuition, because that is kind of what she calls it.
Yes.
But at the same time, I understand where Doyle's coming from. He's like, I can't just like go accuse this guy of murder when you haven't given me any kind of tangible evidence.
Well, I mean, I think he says some variation 1954 version of it, but like, that's not how police works. You two just have a hunch. Like, you have suspicions. None of this is proof. None of this is even like, you have no evidence here.
Because he needs probable cause to search a suspect's apartment, and Jeff is just like, can't you just go in there and look around? He's like, no,
motherfucker, that's not how it works. You would say the same if somebody suspected you of doing something. You wouldn't want the cops to just go into your house and search while you were out.
Well, and again, it endangers his entire career. But like, okay, like, what's the photography equivalent of that, right? You wouldn't be doing that shit.
Right. But I will say, I think the film's thesis is nicely summarized in Doyle's kind of retort, where he says, that's a secret private world you're looking into out there. People do a lot of things in private they couldn't possibly explain in public.
Yeah.
And I just think that that's so telling. And also, folks, go on the merry-go-round with me here, but if we do think of Thorwald as this queer-coded character, or we've got this closeted gay man who is being spied upon in his private domicile, there's this interesting element of like, oh, the movie almost seems to be doing a meta-textual reading, because like, let's be honest, Hitchcock was obsessed with queers. He has so many queer elements. That's why we've covered more than 6 movies on the podcast, because he often does these queer-coded antagonists or villains. So do I think that Alfred Hitchcock knew exactly who this actor was in real life?
Probably.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's the case with a lot of closeted actors at the time, though, too, where it's like, it seems like, because we didn't have the internet back then, right? So unless you were like in Hollywood, in the society, like it was like a thing where it's like everyone knew, but like the world didn't know.
Exactly. It's an open secret in Hollywood among people who are acting, directing, and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, you know, if you're in the Midwest, or if you're, you know, a casual moviegoer in Austin, Texas in 1954, like, you don't fucking know anything about this guy.
Well, and bear in mind, too, this is during McCarthyism. So, like, yeah, a lot of people pointing fingers at each other, even in Hollywood at this time.
100%. That lavender scare, everybody. Okay, so Doyle ends up chugging his brandy. I love that he spills it on himself because he's not refined, because he is a police officer. And then he makes a snide insinuation about premarital sex and hoofs it out of there.
Yeah, he's like, don't call me back unless you actually have a murder.
Yeah, basically. This is when Miss Lonely Heart returns with a young gentleman suitor, but she kicks him out for being too aggressive and forward.
Yeah,
she ends up crying again.
Which he definitely is too aggressive 100%. And forward, yeah.
Yeah, it's tricky, right? Because you can tell that she wants to kiss him and that she wants to be with him, but it also is then moving too quickly and he doesn't take no for an answer. So this is coded as this is what life is like for a woman who is unmarried. And I love that we're seeing this. And then you're right. We also see that scene with Miss Torso where she basically has to force this guy out of her apartment. Like, these are dangerous times for women. It's just that we wouldn't think that a married woman has the same kinds of pressures or dangers. But of course, Thorwald will prove us wrong.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, I even built up my own like story for Miss Lonely Heart where I was like, oh, maybe she had like an abusive boyfriend in the past or something, and so she has
trust issues.
Yeah, and she's taken to like dating invisible men, and so this was the first time she tried to get back out there, and we see him be aggressive with her, but it's a thing where it's like, oh, maybe it was a situation where he tried to instigate sex and she recoiled because of whatever previous relationship she had, and then he got aggressive. And so again,
you've got this whole storyline.
This whole again, but that's what I liked about this movie. Like it let me use my imagination for some things.
It invites it. Yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. So when we see this happening, because Jeff and Lisa see this happen with Miss Lonely Hearts, and this is where they start to actually question the ethics of their peeping Tom, their voyeurism, and so on. So I like that the movie acknowledges and has its characters engage in a discussion about, are we being creepy weirdos? Like, right. It's one thing when Lisa calls Jeff out on it because, this is a woman looking at her prospective husband like, oh, you've been a little creepy right now. But now we're both doing it. And is it right? Should we be doing something like this? So I love that the movie says, maybe voyeurism isn't super great.
It's fine.
It's fine. So the other interesting thing that Lisa notes about this particular moment is that she thinks that they're ghouls because they're actually unhappy that they have discovered that a woman was not murdered. Like, they should be very pleased by that fact, and instead they're like, oh man, we didn't witness a murder.
I think that's a timeless observation too, because it's like, right, like how often do we as people, especially nowadays where like everything is at our fingertips, like we all gravitate towards again the true crime aspect of it, right?
It's 100% that, we're slightly deviant for wanting to see these stories about like, oh, okay, so this woman went missing. Oh, I bet it's her husband or her boyfriend. He probably murdered her and her body is in 8 million pieces in the backyard or something. And then you go, oh, that's gross. Why do I think that? Why do I want that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anyway, let's talk about the preview of coming attractions. This pink satin nightgown, maybe it's silk, I don't know. It's hard to say. It's not a physical thing I can touch. But, hey, Grace Kelly, you look amazing.
Shocker. Shocking no
Shocking. So we get a little bit of foreplay, but this is interrupted because sadly the dog has died. So I like that this woman on the fire escape. That's literally how she's credited. She's played by Sarah Berner. She just yells at everybody in this courtyard. Like, who did this? Which of you was responsible? Was it because the dog was too nice? Like, why did you kill my dog?
My heart broke for this woman. I was like, oh, I understand exactly where you're coming from, and I would have said this exact same thing to everyone. I would have screamed all of this to these people in here.
Yeah. And what's interesting is that this is another piece of the puzzle because everybody's upset, they're shocked, but also Jeff clocks that there's only one neighbor who didn't respond, who didn't open their blinds, who didn't peek their head out, and that would be Thorwald. Yep. And I love knowing that Alfred Hitchcock would later make a movie called The Man Who Knew Too Much, that we have him putting into words in Jeff's mouth, the dog knew too much. That's why the dog had to be murdered.
I love it.
Silly. Okay, so in the morning, now we have Stella firmly invested. So it's Stella, Lisa, and Jeff. They're all watching as Thorwald wipes down the bathroom walls. So maybe it means nothing. Maybe he's just cleaning, or maybe he's wiping off the remains of his dead wife that he hacked to pieces in the bathtub.
Could be anything.
It could be anything. So Jeff makes this connection from old pictures that he took of the courtyard. Remember where the dog was digging up? Oh, let's go back 2 weeks. Okay, we've got some older pictures. Those flowers have been replaced. So somebody dug them up, put something in there, and then put the flowers back.
Yeah, and I rewound this so many times. I could not see which
see a
yellow
difference.
flowers he was. I saw yellow flowers and I was like, they look the same.
They look the same.
I'm okay. I'm really glad that you said that because I rewound this so many times to be like, what? Like, I need someone to like mark it, like circle. Where am I supposed to be looking on this photo?
Yeah, I think Jeff will clarify. It's that they're sitting slightly lower or higher. I think it's higher because there's something under them.
Yeah,
and I was just like, I guess.
guess.
Sure, movie. You're telling me so, and I'm accepting it as so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we realize that there might be something down there. So what we need to do is we need to dig that up, but also Jeff reasons, I think we actually need to get into Thorwald's apartment, but how is any of this going to happen? Because Doyle has clearly told us, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not helping you.
Oh my God. And then you have Stella being like, well, my opinion, she's scattered all over town. So
Yeah, Stella's just gone to the worst possible place. So our solution to this is Jeff is going to write a vaguely threatening note. And this is one of those times where the camera work is very showy, right? You know, we kind of go up so that we can see Jeff writing the note from above as opposed to a more traditional kind of parallel to ground level. So it's just one of the many instances where Hitch is finding a way to keep this dynamic and vibrant and just a little bit more visually interesting to look at.
Right, yeah.
Okay, so Lisa delivers this letter to Thorwald, but obviously she slips it under the door and then she hightails it out of there, and we see him looking around. So we've initiated contact, but Thorwald doesn't know who's maybe on to him yet. All right, so we see Miss Lonely Hearts laying out sleeping pills, but we don't need to worry about her. Stella knows how much she's taking, just from afar. Lisa returns in time to see Thorwald packing bags. So now they're suddenly worried, oh, maybe he's going to take off. We don't know where he's going to go. We've already lost the trunk, so our evidence is kind of like gone. And now we're worried he might leave, and then we'll never solve the murder.
Yeah, I mean, because Doyle will say something along those lines of like, look, there's literally like 100 people here that could see into his room. Mm-hmm. Why would he be doing this? So, I mean, it is a thing where I do think the film does a really good job of where you're leaning towards, yeah, this guy clearly did it because I'm watching a movie.
Yes.
But there are so many plausible reasons where it's like, well, it could have been this too. Like,
yeah, and I would say it's different from other films where I'm thinking especially of that period where you and I got really frustrated with a lot of horror texts that are about women where it's, are they losing their minds or is there something going on? And it was often supernatural. And we got really frustrated because the answer was always, it's something supernatural, but we had to do this push-pull of, oh God, could they be going crazy? And it's like, no, they're never going crazy. Whereas here it's like, it does feel a little bit more legitimately balanced, you know. Is he a murderer, or are they all just overly invested because they've got nothing else to occupy their time?
Entirely possible.
I mean, who among us is not? As you said, we're storytellers. Okay, so what we decide we're going to do is we're going to look for the wedding ring. This is the key piece where if Miss Thorwald truly just went out to the country to visit a sister, she would have worn her wedding ring. Again, I don't fully buy this. As somebody who takes off his wedding ring to go to the gym, or like if I'm going out to be active, I take it off because I don't want to lose it. So if that means my husband has killed me, my husband has killed me many, many times.
I thought the exact same thing. So I am actually a person who does not. The only time I take off my wedding ring is if I'm cooking with raw meat.
Right. Okay.
You know, I have that little like ring thing on by the kitchen sink. But my husband is someone who he'll take his ring off before bed. He takes it off before he showers, and like, he's actually left his ring at the house before.
Sure.
But yeah, again, that's where I'm kind of like, well, maybe in the 50s it was just a thing where it's like, no, your wedding ring is like an extension of your body.
Truly. I mean, it is a literal symbol of the marriage. So it kind of makes sense, especially from a narrative, like storytelling point of view, why they would say, oh, the ring is the thing that a married woman would never leave the home without.
Right.
So if we can find the ring, that means she has definitely been murdered. And the story is bogus. So we're going to go looking for it. But we can't run the risk that Thorwald would look out and see them digging up the flower bed. So we need to get him either distracted or out of the apartment. And this is where Jeff has to come into play because he cannot leave. So he decides that he's going to call Thorwald and he's going to say, I know about your wife. You need to come and meet me in this diner that's a ways away. That will give Stella and Lisa enough time to dig up the flower garden.
And this is the most exciting scene. I mean, this movie doesn't have a lot of like action to it.
Mm-hmm.
it's very low key in that way. But that's why something as simple as, oh, they have to go dig up this thing, which then escalates to Lisa climbing up the goddamn balcony into the window. Like, it's so thrilling, even though it's not really what I would call
thrilling.
Yeah, exactly.
You're like, there's nothing about this that should be so tense. But especially, I mean, this is the bomb under the table. This is the ticking clock, because you have to assume there's a finite amount of time that they have before Thorwald will realize no one is coming to meet him and he will come back. And we don't know. It's not even like you'll only have 10 minutes and we've got, a little timer in the corner of the screen. It's he could come back at any moment.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So we dig up the flower bed, but there's nothing there. And Lisa decides, okay, I'm going to make a go for it. So yes, up the fire escape, into the open window. We've got Stella coming back so that she can assist Jeff. And what we're going to do is we're going to ring Thorwald's apartment if he comes back. Okay, this new plan makes sense. Lisa's looking through. She finds the handbag. There's nothing in it. It's empty. We're pantomiming through the window and so on. Except Miss Lonelyhearts has started to write a letter. It's looking like a suicide attempt. So Jeff and Stella decide they're going to call the police on her, save her life.
Right, but while this is happening, they don't see Thorwald coming back to his apartment.
Yes, and of course, we as an audience, this is where we actually seem to know a little bit more than Jeff and Stella. So we see that he's coming back, and they have not paid close enough attention, which means that Lisa's going to get trapped in Thorwald's apartment. And of course, we're always very, very conscious and aware of the window frame. It's like a frame for the actual camera and by proxy our viewing experience. And it's like, we are powerless. Jeff is so emasculated in this moment.
And that's what I love too, because in any normal quote unquote movie, we would cut to inside that apartment so we could be with Lisa as she's like trying to like hide from Thorwald or figure out what to do. And
it'd be so exciting, but instead it's like exciting in a very, very different way.
Yeah. And remember when I said when Hayes was doing the script, Hitchcock made notes, which were mostly just cuts to things to get out of it. One of it was that we originally did have scenes that took place in, I want to say Doyle's office or maybe even Jeff's editor's office. And
interesting.
I think Hayes kind of gave him the idea where he was like, I don't think we should leave. We should never leave this. Yeah, I think it needs to stay entire. So again, had we had those scenes, we might have cut to inside Thorwald's apartment to be with Lisa. And while that would have been probably again a more traditionally tense and thrilling set piece,
right?
It stands out here because we're so at a distance.
Yeah. I will confess, I'm so happy that we don't ever go to Doyle's office.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Who fucking cares?
Who cares? Even if it's like, let's cut to him while he's on the phone to see what he's doing or whatever. Like, I don't need that.
Yeah, because there is a moment where Jeff, calls his house and we talk to the babysitter and they're out at a nightclub. And like, I think in other movies, we might have actually seen that woman or that character appear on screen. We could have split screened it even, but we don't need to.
No.
And there's something so much better and satisfying about just being stuck in the fucking apartment with Jeff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so part of the reason that Miss Lonelyhearts didn't actually need to be saved is because she was saved by the composer's music. So that's actually why she stopped. But yes, by this point, Jeff already has the police on the line. And when we realize, Thorwald is coming in, we need to rescue Lisa, we just redirect and say, a woman's being attacked, here's the address. And we hope that the police will get there in time. But there is this moment where Thorwald discovers Lisa. We can't exactly hear what she's saying, but we can see he's gripping and shaking her. And then she calls to Jeff through the open window. I love that this isn't even really the tip-off. It's that as the police bang in, they barge in, they rescue her. She's obviously going to get arrested because she has broken in. She's trespassing. But we get this almost close-up of her wearing the ring and pointing to it, and then we see Thorwald see her pointing to it.
This is kind of like the end of Grace Kelly's like contribution to all of this, but her, like, she's waving her finger and like pointing at the ring with her other hand. It's really cool.
You are playing to the back of the theater right now. Jeff is already watching, but you are calling so much attention to that.
But it's a great moment, where Thorwald, when he looks at the ring, he looks distressed, and then he looks up and faces Jeff, aka us, the audience, the camera. It's so 100%. Good.
It's like a fourth wall break. Like, oh, you've been watching this whole time.
Yeah.
As an audience member, the temptation is almost to recoil from the screen.
Yeah. And
So
honestly,
good.
too, I think if you were on the fence about him killing his wife, because even still, he has the wedding ring, big fucking deal. Like maybe,
but his reaction,
yes.
like this isn't just, oh, I found a strange woman in my apartment. It's, oh, what the fuck are you up to?
Yeah.
What have you discovered?
It's great. This tells you all you need to know.
Yeah. It's really good. Okay, so Lisa has been safely escorted to the police station by the police, so she's okay. Jeff gathers up a bunch of money. He asks Stella for her contribution so we can bail her out. I love how quickly it all comes together, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
No, I'm sorry. She'd be in jail overnight, for sure.
He knows how much money it's going to cost. I think he says $250.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So basically, we send Stella to the precinct with the money. So that gets Stella out of the apartment, and now it's just Jeff. But he has called Doyle, or Doyle has called back because he has come back from the nightclub. And Jeff says, hey, Lisa got arrested. Also, I've got information about Thorwald. You need to get over here ASAP. And Doyle basically says, don't worry about Lisa. I'll pick her up. So, okay, we're good. And then we put the phone down, and then the phone rings immediately, and Jeff just starts spilling.
Yeah.
And there's no answer because you realize, oh, that's not Doyle.
Yeah, that's
Thorwald who has called you. Because, bitch, he can do the exact same thing you did to him. He could look at what apartment unit you're in. He can get your number. He can call you. And now this is the confirmation for him. Oh, you're on to him. You know exactly what's going on.
Ooh. If we ever get like another remake of this movie, this as a directorial choice.
Mm-hmm.
When Thorwald realizes like he's being spied on, then... Yes. I think the camera should change POVs, and there should be a really dramatic camera move as we go across the courtyard, and we switch POVs, and then we start seeing things from Thorwald's point of view from his window.
Okay, but question. Do we go super duper extra and just have the sound cue be dun dun dun? I think it's too on the nose.
Why not?
Okay, so this means that Jeff is now in danger because Thorwald knows his apartment number. He knows that Jeff is on to him.
No one's there. He's an invalid.
He himself is an invalid in this moment. So yes, basically he grabs his flashbulb, which he already had because he was initially going to use that as a warning signal to Lisa and Stella if they were out in the courtyard. That's how he was going to alert them. He was just going to flash it. So he's got those ready to go. He retreats all the way back to the window. This, honestly, is giving me Wait Until Dark vibes.
Yeah, 100%. And I love the camera effect we use for the what do we call it? Like the light,
the flashes, and then because we are blinding Thorwald as he moves through the apartment, it's stopping him in his tracks. But yeah, we get the almost afterburn, so that it's like we are being blinded as well.
Yeah, it's really cool. And to be clear, this isn't actually doing anything to stop Thorwald. All it's doing is slowing him down. And to which I was like, why don't you just close your eyes, dude? Like, after the second time, you just close your eyes, but it's fine. I'm in it.
I will say that Jeff should have staggered how often he was doing it, because he basically pops one of the bulbs out after it flashes. He puts in a new one and immediately takes another picture. But it takes him about the same amount of time each time. So I thought, oh no, Thorwald is definitely just going to close his eyes, every 5 seconds or something. He doesn't. It only goes on about 3 or 4 times. It's effective. It's so effective. But it doesn't save Jeff, because even though Lisa and Doyle have arrived, they've gone to Thorwald's apartment to stop him. And of course, Thorwald is in Jeff's apartment. So we run out of light bulbs and Thorwald is too close. So this is an interesting choice as well. We know that Hitchcock can do action of a certain regard, so I wasn't sure if this was the timing, like the 1954 of it all. We speed up the action. So Thorwald grabs Jeff, and then it's a sped up, almost Keystone Cops kind of moment where Jeff ends up dangling out of his fucking window.
Yeah, I wrote this down. I was like, higher frame rate for some of the shots of people as they see the ruckus. So I think it was just meant to imply, oh, it's pandemonium at the complex now.
Yeah, and I love that it's very similar to what happened with the dog, right? You know, we hear shouts and everybody pops their head out. They're all paying attention because, like we said, this is courtyard drama. Everybody is fucking up in each other's business.
Right, but you have expect like the Benny Hill theme, the do 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 do.
Yes. Oh, you know what? I said Keystone Cop, so I think your reference is better.
Okay.
But yeah, so basically everybody is out looking at the action. Thorwald is going to get caught, but it's a bigger question of will Jeff survive this? Because he is literally dangling out of his window with a broken fucking leg, no way to help himself. So Thorwald gets grabbed and we watch as Jeff falls.
Yeah, so, okay. There are two effects in this movie that I think don't look great. But I have the 4K of this, so it also could just be, oh, this is like the high definition of it all.
Right, you were never meant to see it this cleanly.
Yeah, the bad one is Jeff falling. Like, that is so clearly a superimposed shot of Jimmy Stewart falling somewhere that is not in this scene.
Sure. The other one is the helicopter.
Yes, which I actually think the helicopter looks...
I think it looks good.
It looks totally fine. Like, it does kind of... I do think the high definition, again, makes it look a bit more out of place, but I think if you were watching this on cable or VHS back in the 90s, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference. Because, that helicopter, I was like, oh, that's a really cool miniature.
Yeah, Jimmy Stewart falling was a little Arbogast-y in Psycho to me, which admittedly happens, 6 years after this. But I don't hate it. It just, it doesn't look entirely convincing.
But because the Arbogast thing, that was, okay, that's him like up against like a screen that's reflecting the already shot background. But this is, oh no, we shot Jimmy Stewart falling on something. We cut him out of that and just pasted him onto this shot. It just doesn't look very good. Yeah,
it's a bad composite shot. It's not like a deal breaker. It's not like it goes on forever or anything.
Oh my God. I feel people are yelling at us like, y'all, composite shot.
Say the word, you fucking idiots. You know what we said? Don't come for us.
It's fine.
But yes, he ends up basically falling into the arms of, I think it's Doyle and maybe somebody else, but it doesn't fully break his fall. So guess what, everybody? When we rejoin the action, sadly, now both of our legs are in casts and clearly we've got another 8 weeks to go.
Just a little bit.
Yeah, but it's fun, right? I mean, we get to check in with all of the other people in the courtyard so we can see the newlyweds are fighting because the honeymoon period is over, but also Miss Lonely Hearts has shacked up or is beginning to date our musician composer guy.
Yeah.
Which is super cute.
The dog lady has a new dog. She replaced that thing real quick.
I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do.
I forgot about this because I didn't see this until we got my notes, but Ms. Torso, she not only has her army guy, but I wrote in my notes, he's very short.
He's super short.
I think is also kind of a subversion.
It is. It's one of those things where it feels like a very playful subversion because I think all the other guys that she has had in the apartment are either taller than her or equal height. And you think, okay, well, there's a certain gender kind of performativity that we're adhering to. And instead, it's like this statuesque dancer with this short dude. It's frankly giving Jessica Rabbit and
yes,
Rabbit,
oh my God, a little bit, yeah. I mean, obviously that this predates that, but yes, 100%.
Yeah. But I love that. Honestly, I kind of low-key, this is my favorite of the final stories that we see of everybody in the courtyard. I'm like, oh, okay, so it's me who's an asshole for assuming that she's a floozy, and actually, yeah, she's got this great guy, and he's super excited to be home, and good for them.
Yep.
But of course, we do see that Jeff is no longer looking at the window. He's actually actively perched away from it. He's asleep. He's not making eyes at anything. And instead, it is Lisa who is keeping an eye on things. But she is not, in fact, reading about traveling the Himalayas. She has hidden Harper's Bazaar on the inside. So, Trace, what do you make of this? Because clearly the suggestion is that she will be accompanying Jeff when he recovers and they're going to go on their world adventures, but she has not lost her interest in fashion. She is just hiding it.
Yeah, I mean, the generous reading of this is, hey, you know what? You can do both. You don't have to completely change yourself. You can have a little bit of yourself. But at the same time, you can also read it less generously as, oh, she's not going to change and she's going to be miserable and they're going to break up when they're on one of his trips.
Oh, okay. Yeah, as people will probably have guessed by this point, I would have liked to have seen something more of a middle ground. I think that's what the ending is intending to suggest, is like, yeah, she's going to acquiesce to him because he will never settle down and just stay in New York. He will always want to go on adventures, so she will accompany him, but she's not compromising so much of herself that she's not interested in her passion, which is fashion and that kind of stuff. Yeah, I just would have liked it a little bit more if maybe it was them finding options for him to do his exciting work, but also having a more permanent footprint in New York.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I still don't think she's going to be eating those fish heads. Like, it all comes down to fish heads.
You know what? That's the takeaway of Rear Window, everybody. Will she eat the fucking fish heads?
Honestly, yeah. Let us know, y'all. Do you think Lisa will eat those fish heads?
And how many thousands of dollars will she spend on some kind of camouflage jungle attire, but make it fashion?
Oh my God. See, that's the sequel I want.
You know what? It's her discovering she's actually better attuned to that lifestyle than she realized, but she is making it fashion, and she just leaves him behind and goes off and lives her best life.
You know what? I'm happy for that. Yeah, let's go. But yeah, and that's the end, right?
That's
like she's reading fashion. She's like, fuck the Himalayas, and end of movie.
Yeah, the drapes are coming down. Story is over.
But yeah, that is Rear Window, Joe. Any final thoughts on this masterpiece of Hitchcockian cinema?
Really, really like this one. I mean, the fact that it is one of his best received films is not surprising. In some ways, it feels like the logical next step after Rope, right? Where he was, I want to try something really technical and challenging, but I still need to make it work as a story that is entertaining. And I think that's what this movie definitely accomplishes. I'm not the hugest Jimmy Stewart fan, but I think he is actually the right person to cast in this because he helps to sand off some of the characters' unlikability. And Grace Kelly is just a fucking gem.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I really now want to go back and watch Dial M for Murder, and because she's also into Catch a Thief. So I mean, she did at least three films with Hitchcock.
There we go. Okay, so she's a rare Hitchcock blonde who could survive Hitchcock.
Yeah, well, now that I know she's only been in 11 movies, it's not like it's going to take that long to watch all of Grace Kelly's films. But also, just to get an idea of like how, like, okay, from like 11 films, how she made that much of an impression on American cinema.
Well, and also the fact that, yeah, out of 11, 3 of them are with Hitchcock. That's pretty impressive, too.
And maybe that is it. Like, and maybe she became more prominent, too, when she became a princess. I again, don't know much about Grace Kelly, so this inspired me to want to learn more about her.
There we go. And go to Monaco, because it seems beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll definitely just spend the money for that.
No, you cannot afford to. I guarantee it. She was so fucking rich.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to happen at all. But yeah, no, I really like this. I not that I was surprised because, again, it's a Hitchcock film, but yeah, I really, really, really got invested in all of these characters, even the ones we don't hear a peep out of the entire movie. Just a really good time. So
proof that there are no small roles, and also that you're supporting characters, like, they can have a huge impact when the proper attention is given to them.
Yeah, what is that quote? There are no small parts, only small actors.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. All right, everyone. Well, before we announce what we're covering next week, some quick housekeeping. If you want to get in touch with us, you can reach us on Blue Sky and Instagram at HorrorQueers. Shoot us an email at horrorqueers@gmail.com. Find us on Letterboxd to keep track of all the films we've covered. If you want to chat with other listeners, please join our HorrorQueers Discord. That link is in the show notes. If you have a moment, please rate and review us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. And if you want more content, including ad-free main feed episodes, please support the show by becoming a patron at patreon.com/horrorqueers. If you subscribe today, you'll get 509 hours of Patreon content, including this month's new episodes on Terminator 2 Judgment Day, Forbidden Fruits, Saccharin, Evil Dead Burn, an audio commentary on Howling 2, Your Sister is a Werewolf, and the conclusion of our requel tier coverage of the Vampire Lestat. But Joe?
Yes?
What are we talking about next week?
Okay, so we're going to enter a new month. So welcome to August, everybody. And with it, we're going to do a bit of time travel as we open the Patreon vault. So we're going to go back to an episode re-released in December of 2024. Not gonna lie, Trace, thinking back, maybe one of our strongest Patreon months ever, because in addition to the film in question, we covered The Substance for 3 fucking hours.
Oh my God.
And we also did a supersized episode on Cuckoo. But then the one that we got a ton of feedback from, positive, I should note, was our episode on Jane Schoenbrum's I Saw the TV Glow. So in light of their new film, Teenage Sex and Death at Camp Miasma, we're going to revisit I Saw the TV Glow.
Yes, and we have special guests Ari Drew and Robin Adams on this one. This is a very, very special episode because we do not have guests on Patreon episodes, except for this one.
Yeah. We needed to pull in some heavy hitters to help us out. But that's where we're going to go to kick off August Trace.
Yeah, but until next time, we can cross out Rear Window.
Indeed. And cross out horror queers.
Do you want to design your own custom miniature? Hero Forge offers fully customizable tabletop miniatures with dozens of fantasy species and thousands of parts to choose from, all within your browser. Working with materials like color plastic, acrylic standee, and bronze, and offering downloadable model files for users to 3D print their unique designs at home, Hero Forge is constantly expanding its catalog of customization options, adding new parts every week and major features like new species and custom posing on a regular basis. And as a listener of the Horror Queers podcast, you get a special deal. Use code HQ to get 5% off on all orders of physical miniatures. Visit HeroForge.com to start designing your custom miniature and dice today, and check back often. New content is added every week. And remember, use code HQ to get 5% off on all orders of physical miniatures. Not combinable with other sales or promotions.
Some places are remembered for the history they made. Others, for the stories they refuse to let die. Every corner of America has a story. Haunted hotels where guests never truly check out. Forgotten roads where strange lights still appear, creatures whispered about for generations. There are unsolved murders and folklore passed from one generation to the next until no one remembers where the truth ends and where the legends begin. Join me every day as we explore the ghost stories, hauntings, cryptid folklore, and true crime that shape the place we call home. Because sometimes the most unbelievable stories are the ones that actually happened. I'm Christopher Feinstein, and this is Haunted American History.
There are stories that keep you up at night.
And then there are stories you text your best friend about immediately.
Welcome to Three Spook Girls, where true crime, paranormal, and the downright unexplainable
all get the group chat treatment.
Every week we dive into real cases,
haunted places,
urban legends,
and over-the-top creepy Reddit stories.
We're talking about all of it, but not in a scary alone in the dark way.
More like you're sitting on the couch with your best friends.
New episodes air every Thursdays and Sundays everywhere you get your podcasts.
And be sure to check out our second show, Social Seance Society, airs every Wednesday when we're in season.